When I was growing up, there were only a few choices when it came to getting a cup of coffee. There was black, or some combination of cream and or sugar. That was it. The choices were simple. Now, when I walk into one of these fancy coffee shops, I am frozen, almost intimidated by all the choices. I had no idea of the variations of coffee a person can have in this day and age. The choices can be overwhelming. Just like in life, we can struggle with choices we must make. And we often forget how much of our life is formed and impacted by what we choose. In today's gospel, Jesus gives us a man who has a choice to continue in the way his life is, or to sell everything he owns and give the money to the poor, and then come and follow Jesus. Like many of us in life, the man in the gospel must choose. And I really want to stress the word choose, because that is what this reading is really about. So much of our lives are the result of the choices that we have made. We can often attribute the good things we have in our lives to our choices, but we also have to recognize that some of the problems we have in our lives are just as much a result of the not-so-good choices we have made. We always have choices. It's part of the free will God gives us because he wants us to choose to love him. He wants us to freely choose to seek him out, to journey toward him, to have an encounter with him, and to receive his salvation. We have the freedom to choose this. But with this freedom comes responsibility. Not only are we responsible for the consequences of our choices, but our journey through life is often determined by the choices we make. Choices. Out of love, God chose to send his only begotten Son so that we may be saved. Mary chose to surrender herself to God's will. And Jesus chose to die for our sins. Now, these don't sound like easy choices, but sometimes the right choice is not the easy one. And sometimes in life, just like in today's gospel, there is no easy choice. We'd like to think that there are always hard choices and easy choices, but in life, the reality is sometimes our choices aren't between easy and hard. Sometimes our choices are between hard and hard. And we just have to choose the right hard. Marriage is hard, but so is divorce. Being healthy is hard, but so is being unhealthy. Being financially disciplined is hard, but so is drowning in debt. Sobriety is hard, but so is addiction. Loving others sometimes can be very hard, but hate and the willful ignorance of prejudice will consume you and the world with it. Sometimes being a follower of Christ is hard, but it is nothing compared to the challenge of going through life lost, alone, without purpose, and without the salvation the man in today's gospel was seeking. It's undeniable that the history of humanity is riddled with the heartbreaking sagas of people making poor choices while desperately trying to find something other than God to make them happy. Sadly, in my ministry, I encounter a lot of people who are suffering or struggling in some way. Many of these same people don't realize they are just one or two hard choices away from having the life that they want. Today's reading is a call for us to have the courage to stop making the choices that don't serve us well. Sometimes we just have to choose the right heart. We can choose to be frozen in a life of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Or we can choose a journey of faith, belief, and salvation